Hello there, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Super Cast Brothers. That one Smash Brothers podcast that we're still doing at almost a full 5 years in. Actually, it could be about 5 years because, each season is a full year. I'm not sure exactly when day one was, but it's almost been 5 years of torture.
I know. No, it was in late August, if I recall.
It
So
wasn't,
we're
was it in late
pretty.
August for episode one? Well,
Mm.
I still don't know how close to this because I'm not sure when this one is uploading compared to when it's airing to when it's being recorded. Yay for recording things in advance. Am I right?
We're relatively close to when when it's happened. Regardless, I think it was like the 24th, if I had to guess.
Yeah, I think this goes up in July, late July or something.
Mhm.
July 27th. I just checked.
Oh, okay.
Hello to
There'll
the
be a couple
future.
episodes closer to the anniversary, but happy anniversary, buddy! So glad to have spent all these years with you in the audio world, doing things together. What a time it's been.
Well, what about Kelly?
Yeah, happy anniversary, Kelly. We thank you as a guest who's been on since the first season and also as a friend of ours who's predated even this long-running podcast itself. What a
Thank
nice
you.
person you are and a great foil to our antics.
Honored and humbled to be here as always to discuss Smashy Bros.
And we like the sombrero in the top right corner of your screen.
Left.
Left.
Samba
Yeah.
de Amigo confirmed.
Samba de Amigo confirmed for Smash 7.
Imagine. Yeah,
Don't
the
read too
whole,
much into
a
it.
whole,
I like those chitters.
a whole 2 generations away.
Exclusive for the Stocke Genesis 2.
Imagine. As Xbox peters out, Sega season in.
Yep. Sega buys Microsoft.
Oh boy.
Wouldn't that be a twist?
No one
Oh,
predicted
dear.
it.
No one could ever
We'll be
predict that.
celebrating. We'll be celebrating season 20 by then.
God, no. God, no. Jesus Christ. So yeah, it's a Smash Jabs episode. We got me, Zantok, we got Jonno, and we got the Kelly.
Yeah. Hello. Greetings. Jazz hands.
So a funny thing here, Kelly, is this is the third to last Smash Bros. Episode of the season, and it's also the first Smash Dash of the season to have a guest on it. We've been very guest light with Smash Dashes this season. I didn't realize this until I want to say a couple Smash Dashes ago. I was just like, oh wow, we've had no guest inter Smash Dashes yet all season. Huh.
Yeah.
Which is very unusual.
We will always have at least one, though, with the Kellyjelly special rearing its head every season, which is
And
a
the
fun
Tournament
treat.
of Champions.
Yeah, oh, God. Well, that's a whole other.
Wow.
Yeah, we need it then.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
my
do.
Although I don't know how you feel, Lister. After yes, it was a very guestless Smash or Death season. We filled in guest spots everywhere else. It's been a pretty
Yeah.
average season. Yards,
With,
like actually a little over.
with the roster reduxes.
Mm.
Yeah. We've had a lot of guests
Mhm.
this season with that project alone.
But the Smasher Dashes, I mean, you know what that's lent itself to? Just like really offbeat matchups being guided by the power of the tiebreaker. We have gone to the people for a public vote like 5 times in a row. Or maybe not in a row.
Well, we had one break. We had one episode where we didn't.
Mm-hmm. And we drew it to a tiebreaker this last Smasher Dash, and I have the results, and we can mention it at the top of this podcast.
Let's do it. Who was it between again? Remind me. And the viewers, who totally don't need a reminder, or I don't know. I don't need the reminder. They do.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, this is for our viewer Cornelicus. Cornelicus and fellow viewers, we had a matchup in our last Smasher Dash between the adventurer from RuneScape, which is the name that Zantok had given to the player avatar.
It's what the wiki calls them.
Is it? Okay.
Yes.
Well, there you go. There you go. Well, it's a better name than RuneScaper. That and Squall Leonhardt. from Final Fantasy VIII. For his neutral special, he wields a gun blade. Before we get into our results, it looks like Zantok is going to pick something up.
I thought I had it over here, and I don't.
He's looking for his gun.
He's looking for a gun.
Uh-oh. Oh, he's
Holy
packing meat.
shit.
Oh,
That is packing.
I think that's the real thing.
Yeah.
I
Ripped straight
hope
from the game.
voters chose wisely.
Are you you're gonna turn on the viewers?
I'm gonna turn on someone. This might become a one-man show in a minute.
Kelly's checked out. He's out of the
Let's all
Cornelius.
talk about this peacefully, if we can.
We'll see. So
rational.
are we ready for the drum roll? Are we gonna get into it at a vote of not a lot, but a lot for this show, 13-9.
Ooh.
The winner of this Smasher Dash is the Adventurer
Fuck
from
this, I quit.
RuneScape.
Jonno,
Oh,
see you in a minute.
the peaceful end.
It's adventure time, some might say.
Yeah, come on and grab your friends, except for Lister, who's not
So,
here until the very end.
RuneScapers rejoice. It's the adventurer.
Mm-hmm. It's yeah, the I don't know what's going on here, but the audio watcher listeners are missing out on a visual spectacle. It's like you can cut a very large cheesecake with that.
Oh no, not the chair. That's some chair abuse going on up here.
He's gonna cut his gamer's chair in half as a symbol of quitting the Super Cats Brothers podcast. And he's gonna throw it at us like a Wrestling Alliance character. Perfect. I think he's aiming at Kelly. No, run away. Use a
Sorry, it wasn't
barrier.
personal. It wasn't personnel.
Y'all are wrong. I would like to also mention that after that episode ended, Donald's like, "Oh yeah, I tied it. I mean, I like RuneScape, and I think the viewers will vote for Squall." And I just looked at him and it's like, "They're not. I bet you they won't." What'd I fucking say?
Yeah.
What'd I say?
Yeah. Never underestimate the genius of the Super Cast Brothers fan.
I was gonna say never underestimate the internet, and then put a period there. Don't imply anything else.
Oh no, I support their vote.
I don't.
What an idiosyncratic thing to do.
Hate all y'all. You're all wrong.
It wasn't a landslide. We can at least appreciate that. It was fairly close.
Oh
It
yeah,
wasn't a runaway.
Jonno would not survive this episode if it was.
It wasn't a 22-0. Let's be thankful of that.
Very, very salty for your 9th Final Fantasy choice for Smash.
Listen. Okay, look. In all honesty, I get it. It's a different franchise, and Squall would not be borderline anybody's next choice for a Final Fantasy character in Smash. He's not even mine. I will pick the Warrior Light or Black Mage next, and then some combination of Terra, Cecil, Yuna, and then I don't really know who I do after that. I guess maybe Clyde because he's the new kid on the block. I guess, or Final Fantasy 14 because it's still ongoing, or Tactics with Ramsdale.
Yeah.
Represent Tactics. That would be fun.
Yeah. A new
Then
move.
Squall.
Yeah, and then Squall. But yeah,
I like 8, and I like Squall, and he was my favorite as a kid. So
it was a good episode for that reason, talking about childhood innocence, which we very readily displayed here today. Hey, Evit voted for Squall.
Evit is spared my wrath this day.
And actually, so did Flamezone.
I think Flamezone does like Final Fantasy, though. I think he's actually talked about that.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's funny. His answer was like, "I'll vote Squall, I guess," and that was the end of it. But he does
Flame
like Final
Zone,
Fantasy.
let's talk. I promise
Yeah.
I won't bring up the Gunblade.
Flame Zone's out of the building this episode, but it sounds like his mom may be listening.
I don't know. All right, enough of this
Appreciate
bit.
your support.
Moving on. I demand it. It's rate their chances. We got 5 characters picked. We got to go through them all. Talk about why they may or may not get in Smash and give a rating as we do. We have some interesting picks here. Jonno, I normally start these off, but I'm gonna make you do it this time around. What do you think about Snip and Clip from Snipper Clips?
I enjoy them. They're a duo indeed. They're like you and me if we cut each other up as little pieces of paper to solve our problems together as friends. Yeah, it's a good start. Now all you need to do is put me into a perfect shape to fit the form designated by Nintendo.
The perfect shape to fit into a coffin?
No, not quite. Unless it's like dragon fruit shaped. Moves around a bit.
Good allegory.
Yeah.
This is snip and clip, not slash and shoot. Zantok.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think there's a pair of scissors in RuneScape.
Oh, you can use as a weapon. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
That'd be like the next YouTube. Can you beat RuneScape with just the scissors or something like that? Like one of those.
I mean,
videos.
Final Fantasy does like to have its weird weapons, like a megaphone, a fork. Where
Yeah.
hey, can we have Final Fantasy 17 somebody wield a pair of giant scissors?
That would be pretty cool.
Square.
Maybe there could be
Let's
a
talk.
variant of Tinkaton that has giant scissors instead of a giant hammer.
Interesting.
Scizzaton.
Gonna workshop that name. I don't like it. Anyways, Snip and Clip. My basic thoughts on these two is if Ultimate had been delayed a little bit and had like another year or two before it released, I think these two would have had a chance just because they were released with the Switch and are pretty damn unique. But at this point, my basic thought is, yeah, they've kind of missed their chance. There's been no indication of any kind of DLC for Snipper Clips or a second game in the works, and unless we get that, I think they're assist trophy at best.
That was a fun game. I wouldn't have been against them having a higher profile, but yeah, I agree.
I also just don't know how you would really make them work with their mechanic of snipping each other. Like, how would you make that work very well as a playable character?
An AT would work well because then you just put the shapes out there and they follow them telegraphed and just cut around there, or they cut each other in front of you. I don't know, but it can work. Playable character, yeah, a little dicier. Kelly, what do you think about? You know what's funny is when you asked me about Snip and Clip, I was like, I don't even know why we're talking about this, but I'm going to do it. I forgot about Rate Their Chances. So Kelly, what do you think?
I said rate their chances before I said Snip and Clip.
Did you?
Yes.
No, I must have been thinking about other things. Anyway, Kelly, what do you think?
Yeah, it's one of those things where I feel like it's one of those unique gameplay mechanics that's cool in their own game, but I don't know how good that translates to a move set because they're very one note. As cool as that note is, and as nice as that note sounds, rather, it's I don't know. It feels like one of those things where you'd have to stretch it out, and I think it'd be very thin.
Yeah.
You'd have to spread yourself very thin for what you're trying to do with them. But I think I would agree, like that assist trophy is probably the most they could hope for. I think they do have a spirit, right? I think they have a spirit battle in all.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they do.
100. Okay. Because yeah, it was one of those things where I know for sure that if there was a Smash 4 trophy, it would be one of those trophies where when you spun it around, it would be 2D and it would disappear. and it would be completely different on the other side.
Yeah,
One of those trophies. But
for sure.
yeah, it's about all I say about snip and clip.
So like I feel like you could make a moveset around that just like has them work with the mechanic in their individual levels. Like there's some levels about balancing a ball. It's like okay, they can have attack about hitting a ball up, but if you don't have something about them nipping and clipping each other to create shapes, then I feel like you're missing the point.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could have a Game and Watch situation where some of their attacks have them dynamically suddenly becoming a new shape.
Yeah,
Like maybe one of them sticking on the other and just to do like an up tilt, they just become thin to jab up or something like that.
true.
But I don't know. It depends on how deeply you look into it.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
like I think Snip and Clip's best chances, assuming they don't get another new game, is to wait 20 years and then whoever's directing Smash at that point will be like, Snip and Clip would make a good pair of retro characters at this point after 20 years of them existing. Sure, let's do them now, but otherwise, why would they be picked?
Mm-hmm.
Might
And
not
for
be making the list of everybody's forgotten or most wanted retro characters anytime soon. Is what you're saying.
yeah, I don't see them. I'm even just gonna say it's like a 3% chance for me.
I'm gonna give him a 2 because there's 2 of them.
You stole my idea. I was literally thinking of that same idea. Like, I was gonna be my line, but no, that's
Oh,
good. I guess I'll
well,
give him
great
a
minds.
1 then. We'll do 3, 2, 1.
All
3,
right,
2,
that
1%.
averages out nicely to 2%.
3, 2, 1 switch is another game, Kelly. But yes.
No. Oh
Actually,
God.
it's 1-2
Or-
switch.
Oh, well, that's a worse title than 3, 2, 1.
I'll disagree. Next character rate their chances. Hey
Yeah,
Jonno, I
yeah.
think you're gonna like this one.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, we're talking about Professor Layton.
Oh, interesting.
Ooh.
Nice.
So I don't know much about Professor Layton. I know he's Puzzle Man, and I think his series was kind of on a bit of a hiatus of sorts. But they're currently working on a new game, and I think he's actually be the focus of it again. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know too much about that. Um, you've talked before to me about what he could do for a moveset. There was something about like a coin shooter and some other things I don't recall.
Yeah, they're ample. I mean, with his ability to create on the fly and just the various inventions and relics you come across in those games, there's plenty.
What do you
Oh,
think
sorry.
of hmm?
Yeah. What do I think of what? Sorry.
What do you think of his chances being in Smash though?
I think they're higher than they were recently. If this were prior to the reveal of New World of Steam, I would say that they were considerably lower than perhaps they are now, because the series itself had gone on hiatus for a time. Level 5 wasn't doing so hot for a number of years, and it was Titan had not gone much besides mobile ports for a number of years. So it put into question the like, where is the series going? As for what is against Leighton though, and why I still think he is realistically a lower tier third party character, even still. His best chances were back in the Wii DS era, like when that series was super hot, and we were seeing a bevy of casual games. Professor Layton, to a degree, Ace Attorney, Cooking Mama, Professor, like that kind of stuff was at the
Scribblenauts.
forefront of gaming. Yeah. Um. So as time has progressed, honestly, it has come out to Phoenix, right? Hands and like head and shoulders above all of that competition now. Whereas back in the day, it was more muddy. It's like, okay, if we get a character from this era and style of game, Phoenix seems like the natural choice. And then that conversation just becomes, will Capcom want to go down that route or some other route with the million other franchises they have? Which is funny because you could dictate that perhaps Phoenix is more like upper mid tier in terms of chances for third parties, and then Professor Layton lives within like the middle tier of that middle tier. Like Um, but yeah, I mean, if the new World of Steam pops off and it revitalizes the franchise, that's great. But at this point, we don't know that.
Right.
At this point, it's do we work with level 5? Ask yourself that very specific question. And then is it Leighton or is it Javania?
Or
Is
is
it
it what's his name? From No Kuti, Oliver.
Yeah, yeah. At this point,
Oh, it's like you mean like the face of level 5?
or just who they choose.
Like, if they were to pick a character from that company, who do you go for? Like, what game would you promote?
Yeah, because Yokai Watch is still fairly popular in the East.
I thought Yokai Watch had died.
Kind of did over here pretty much, but yeah, they're still ongoing over there. I think Leighton is the face of level 5. I think that he's like a mascot for them. But yeah, Yokai Watch is a Pokemon like thing. All that said, I don't know. I would think like 20 at most.
Okay. Kelly,
Yeah.
what are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about once. I know he's had pretty consistent support, like on Smash boards. There's always been a thread that's been in talks about him and his chances. And yeah, he did kind of just die off for a while because like him or that series and the Ace Attorney series were kind of fighting for most entries. And I think after a while, Leighton actually overtook it. Like I think what was it? He had like 4 back-to-back DS titles. I've only played the Unwound Future one,
Unwanted Future,
which everybody says is the best one apparently. But
amazing game. Yeah.
say again, sorry.
Yeah, that's the height of the series for sure.
That one got me. Slot machine gun, you can't beat that.
There you, there you go.
Neutral special there, yeah. But yeah, it's interesting because he's always kind of had that, maybe not as in the forefront as Ace Attorney in some people's eyes, but he's always kind of he's had that presence that's inspired like other puzzle games. Like there's been like Dr. Lautrec, there's been Rhythm Heaven, or sorry, not Rhythm Heaven, Rhythm Thief and the Emperor's Treasure. That may be a crossover. But yeah, you can definitely feel, and even the Ace Attorney crossover, you can definitely feel that presence kind of leaking in. So he's definitely a contender. How much? I'm not sure. I think my number would be somewhere around maybe like 15%.
Yeah.
Low, but not small. Like it just depends on how big of a. I guess he needs that bit of a revitalization before things become serious again. So we'll see.
Yeah. And it's hard to say what this new game will do for Leighton. Will this be a resurgence that he needs, and we'll start getting some more Leighton games? Will we start getting ports or remakes of older titles? It's hard to
Or
say.
will it be dead in the water? I mean,
Yeah, it could be a disaster even. Who knows? And if it's a disaster, then Leighton's chances sink lower than they previously were before the game was announced.
yeah,
Which,
just like Cooking Mama with that rights nightmare in the last game.
ooh, yeah,
But
yeah,
I doubt it will be a disaster, but I could see it not being as impactful as it used to be. We'll see.
yeah. As for my number, I was at one point I was hovering as low as 10%, but I'm gonna bump up to 13.
Okay.
Pretty good, yeah.
Jonno,
Oh yeah. 17.
17. Kelly.
I'll just say 15, I guess. Pretty
Well, that
segmented
makes
out.
it easy. 15% on the average.
We did it
Actually,
again,
I'll
boys.
All right. Now for something that is both more positive and negative. Bandanity from the Kirby franchise. Now, I say positive because it's generally believed by the Smash community that Bandanity is the most likely pick for a fourth Kirby character to be added to Smash. He's quote unquote the player 4 in games that have playable characters besides Kirby, Meta Knight, King Dedede. And in Forgotten Land, he was the player 2. I say negative because now that Jonno and I are super excited about him, and we've discussed that before, so I don't need to discuss it again. That said, I understand why the community, why there's a belief that he's the most likely pick. Makes sense to me. Uh, Waddle are a huge part of Kirby. Bandanity is like one special one. He can have a unique moves with the spear, and you can easily pull from Spear Kirby abilities to make his moveset. It's pretty much done right there. And when you look at other editions of the Kirby franchise, you're pretty much just looking at characters to make one, maybe two appearances. So from that all aspects, he makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Agreed. The only thing against Bandanity is, I think at this point we've seen Sakurai has a deep preference for his own era of Kirby. It's hard to see
Yeah.
much from Kirby that um succeeds Superstar, which is becoming a little egregious now that we're like almost 30 years removed from it.
Yeah,
He may be biased a little bit,
and
Mhm.
just a little bit of bias.
it's marked even worse by the fact that Sakurai also doesn't like he's tried to be anti-bias, so to say, in terms like with Kirby in general, like not including a lot of Kirby stuff. He
Yeah.
didn't even want to include both Day to Day and Meta Knight at first in Brawl. He was only going to
Oh,
include one of them.
Mhm. What
that is
I
true.
mean, and that's also funny since he went the exact opposite direction with Kid Icarus. The second when Uprising came out and 4 turned around, he's like, "Here's Palutena and Dark Pit. Here's a revamped Pit moveset. Here are like 40 enemies from the
And
fight."
items.
Like, oh my gosh, now
Yeah.
make up your
I get,
mind.
I get, I get the feeling some of that was like just from how easy it was to port the assets, but you're right. There's
Yeah.
definitely just that avalanche of content. Like here, dump it all in.
Yep.
Here's more.
That said, I think it's going to become harder for Sakurai or whomever is directing the next Smash, who will more than likely be Sakurai, to avoid the modernity of Kirby. I mean, even without him, the games have succeeded. They've been mostly great.
Yeah.
Especially with Forgotten Land and how that renovated and revitalized the franchise. There is like he's going to be very hard pressed to not acknowledge it.
Yeah.
Um,
Forgotten Land is very good.
and it includes
Yes, I'll
Bandanity.
certainly-
And there's that argument where like Toad's not in, and he's been player 4 in Mario for over a decade now. But I think Bandanity is more essential.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Kelly?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for Bandana D is that his presence has been he's definitely revitalized his presence as time has gone on.
Mm-hmm.
Within his own games, he's a great fit, like what you see with Allies or Star Allies, with all the stuff that he can do in there. I think the spear is his biggest asset. It's doing a lot of the heavy lifting. The hard thing though is how to justify him himself like as a character. Well for Kirby characters, it's very much I won't say one note, but doesn't speak. He's kind of a lot of visit detractors will call him a hat Goomba. I've heard that term tossed
Right.
around.
Goomba in a hat.
Uh,
Yeah.
And the other thing I think he has to contend with is can other characters also are known for spear use do what he can and have more identity attached to them. So I think he has some uphill battles to contend with there. But I like him. I think he's a fun little foil for Kirby because he's more than a joke character at this point. He's established himself to be almost like his durability, or what's the word I'm looking for? Like his tenacity to kind of hang on despite like not quite like he's faced a lot of adversity and he's kind of risen above that joke character status in my eyes at least. So
Right.
He's a shonen hero.
yeah.
Essentially.
Spin-off of Spear Bandana D, please. See what he gets up to in his training.
That would probably
That'd be
actually
cool.
great.
It's like when it comes to other characters that could use the spear, he's not my first voice. Ephraim is who I tend to look at, but there's also the question of like we have so much Fire Emblem, and how relevant is Ephraim? And from those arguments, Bandanity is more likely than he is. And I know there's some other spear users, but I can't. All of them are eluding me right now. I can't recall who any of the other ones are. Which
Cecil Harvey.
only in the official art and in Dissidia. Otherwise, he uses swords.
Oh yeah.
In the actual game, he uses swords.
Yeah, kind of like Sigurd, who they commonly associate with the lance, but realistic. I mean, he uses Tearfang, which is a sword.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But there's really not too many spear users that I think like have good odds just in general. And Bandanity is just always in the face. And some of the unique things you can say about him is like, okay, other spear users are going to be more human size. Bandanity is quite a bit shorter than that, quite a bit rounder
Yeah.
than that. And can anybody else make spears rain down below him when they fly about on their helicopter spear? Nope.
Yeah, he's got that cartoony appeal to him, like all the stuff you can do, like like this the spear copter, the quick multi jab,
Yeah.
city. That's definitely something that can make it distinct for himself.
Yeah.
For
Like I
real.
think if we saw a character like Ephraim holding his spear above him, spinning it insanely fast, and having it propel him through the air like a helicopter, we would all look at that and go, "What the fuck?" But with Bandanity, it's like, yeah, this
It
makes
would be
sense.
like when the in Star Wars Rebels when the I'm forgetting their names. The Inquisitors were starting to fly with their lightsabers. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
They fly
To
now.
be fair, the lightsabers they have built have a spinning mechanism in them. It's not them like manually spinning them. Like they basically click a button and the blade spins around. They
Oh,
this
but it
whole
was still
handle.
hilarious. It was still so funny to look at.
Yeah.
You
General
could see the
Grievous
same
in
for
there.
Ephraim. They're like they'd be like, oh, just like Pikachu and the heart-shaped tail. They'd be like, oh, Ephraim has a mechanical device in his spear that lets him fly.
The pinnacle of technology in Fire Emblem era weaponry.
I love Fire Emblem. I would love to see Ephraim in or another spear user, Devdin and Danvid, perhaps. But
I missed it. Who was it? Sorry.
Devdin and Danvid
It's
from
from the Ike games.
But you know,
Okay.
at this point, I have relented. Bandana Waddley is by far the likeliest spear user from at least first and second part of Nintendo to get into Smash. He's one of those characters that, you know, if we abate Sakurai's retro bias for Kirby, um, it seems almost like a given. It seems nearly inevitable. Like it's one of those almost surefire things. The one thing I feel is really against Bandanity at this point is how likely it seems now. Like it's so likely that it might be like Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD, where you're like, yeah, this is going to happen on Switch, and then it doesn't happen because it's so obvious.
Oh yeah.
You know, so that's it. The
What a
only thing
fumble.
against Bandanity in my mind at this point is like sheer irony.
And it's because of that I'm not going to go any higher than 60%.
Okay. So is 60 your number?
60 is my number.
Okay. You know, I'm gonna go with my initial instinct and say 80.
Kelly?
I'm gonna skew lower. I'm gonna say 33.
Wow.
Repeating, of course. He's got a decent chance. It just depends on how much, again, the Sakurai or the Kirby bias plays in, and how much, even if there's like a more recent Kirby game that has another, or villain, or how much they play into it. It depends on a lot on that, but we'll see. So
Sakurai's
Alright.
like, here's Chef Kawasaki instead. Like,
I'll be
okay.
honest. I'll be honest. On the one level, I'll be mad because like there's so many better Kirby characters, but on the second hand, it's like I would love a cooking character. Yes,
Oh,
that'd be
oh.
great.
Speak
he can
against
recycle cookies for all at best.
just to follow up on that, characters from Kirby who also use spears. Certain final boss from Forgotten Land,
No, yeah.
He does?
Pecto Forgo, the
Huh.
ultimate life form.
I don't remember that.
Have you seen that final boss of Forgotten Land?
Oh yeah, I've seen it. I watched the game he played, but it's been a while.
The huge spears.
Have them in and then have them rival Shadow. The ultimate life form.
Ultimate life form. Well, first we gotta have Mewtwo versus Shadow.
Oh yeah. There you go. There you
There can be only one.
go.
Well, speaking of characters who are clones, our next
Oh.
great third chance character, well, he's not really a clone, but he does have clones. Big Boss, otherwise known as Naked Snake from Metal Gear.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
I think the base thing I have to comment with here is that the snake that we have in Smash is kind of treated as like a mishmash of both solid and naked snake, or at least that's how he was described on the during Brawl. I don't know how true that really is, or if it's just like
Mhm.
they're both similar in design, so it's like screw it, it's just Snake. But I think Big Boss or Naked Snake is one of the easiest Echo Fighters you can do. A lot of people say Shadow the Hedgehog is an obvious Echo Fighter, or Dixie Kong, or Alf, and all these are true. But I think I would put my money more on Big Boss because I mean they already look almost the exact same. Change a couple facial features, change their outfit. There you go. The work is done on the model.
Yeah, yeah. Um, there was a time when I thought if Snake were to get a Echo, and this could still be true, it would be Liquid.
Yeah.
Um, and that is a possibility. And change maybe everything he has is the same, except for make him sassy and British and having a Metal Gear Ray or something as the final smash. What the and then
Did you like my sunglasses?
I do.
It's me, dear brother. Sorry. I'm sorry,
Liquid.
go on.
Liquid.
Yeah, we had I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Ignore me.
no, that's great. Please continue. But I actually think Big Boss has more opportunity to be a little more unique with still within the Echo confines. Besides the eye patch, he also you can pull from Phantom Pain, even though that's technically not him. You can pull from 3, which is revitalized again. I'm not complaining about it with Delta.
Yep.
And that's actually interesting because you have because Snake's moveset in Smash, outside of the fatigues that he has, he has some of Big Boss's outfits. He's very solid Snake forward. The RPG, the cipher, the mine, the sticky mine, all of that is Sons of Liberty era Snake. That's Metal Gear Solid 2 stuff. So there's not a whole lot from 3. Like you can say the grenade and the CQC, that kind of goes with both of them. But Big Boss, I mean, you can bring in the like the supply balloon instead of the cipher. You can use I don't just there are like
Give
70s
him a
era.
bigger
Well,
focus on the knife.
yeah, yeah. Why not? I mean, he was Naked Snake is a stupid name, but at least it had a reason for it. Like he would go around scavenging this stuff. They're like, you have to go in totally naked. This is the Cold War. Find your own weapons. Blah blah blah. So yeah, focus more on like these scavenged, like earthier weapons, perhaps.
I just thought of the worst entrance animation.
Oh god.
You remember the beginning of Metal Gear Solid 3 when you're on the plane and the
Oh yeah.
camera pans over to your player character and you see Raiden's face and the character's
Hmm.
like, "What the fuck? Why is Raiden in this game?" Have it you just see Raiden, but then he pulls off the mask
Oh yeah.
and then you see Snake, his face. That's the entrance animation for Big Boss.
Okay.
But it was me,
Yeah.
Big Boss. I think I know what you mean, and I think I ever realized that that was a thing because I played Snake Eater on the 3DS, and
Mhm.
when you play it on the 3DS, the option was like, "What's your favorite MGS?" One, two, three,
Oh.
four, and I think that only happens if you say, "I like MGS too." Then he does the Raiden thing, but other than that, it's like other slight differences. So I didn't realize that was a thing until like my third or whatever playthrough. I
Yeah.
was like, I just was just going through them. I was like, "What is he doing? What is he? Oh,
Yeah.
oh, okay."
It's because Metal Gear Solid 2, a lot of people were upset. But, like the trailers imply weren't you playing a Snake the whole game? And then you get like 20 minutes of the game, and now you're playing Raiden
Yeah.
instead, and Snake's gone. So it's trolling those players back. It's like, oh, we showed you Snake in the trailer, but here's Raiden at the start of the game. Oh wait, no, it's actually Snake. Haha, gotcha.
It's
I
pretty
get the
funny.
feeling its reputation has gotten better as time's gone on, but yeah, that makes me hurt.
Probably.
Oh yeah, Metal Gear Solid 2 is a great game. But yeah. So
Raiden is a little bit whiny, but that's whatever.
But yeah, it's between Big Boss or Liquid if Snake were to ever get an Echo. And I would say my preference as well as the likelihood for Big Boss at this point in time is higher than Liquid's.
Yeah.
Now, as for where the number lands,
Kelly, what do you think?
Oh, sorry, John. Were you going to say something at the end?
Oh no! It's kind of seeding into the numbers of it all.
Oh yeah. Did you have a number in mind?
Oh, I do, but you can go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I think Metal Gear Solid is as much as it is Snake's story as it is Big Boss's. I don't know what the count is roughly. Like if you were to count which ones play as Snake and which ones you play as Big Boss, probably somewhere about the same.
Depends on if you're counting the spinoffs.
Yeah.
If you're counting the main games,
Acid too.
Yeah, main games only 2 have Big Boss that's playable.
Right. Because like I feel like you could with Snake Eater alone, like John, like what you said with all the survivalist stamina and foraging stuff, you could make the argument for some unique gameplay there. A crocodile hat or costume maybe. But yeah, but that aside, it'd be kind of interesting to see what you did and then some of the stuff that 5 brings along, like the rocket punch and like the fake snake decoys or the Fulton recovery system, like you said. There's enough there to make him distinct, maybe make him more visceral and compared to Snake's more stealthiness, more brutal, CQC based. But yeah,
definitely.
I feel like in my mind he's most likely to be an Echo as opposed to being a pure unique character. But I do think what something they could do, like if you combine elements of, like we were mentioning, MGS3, Naked Snake, MGS5, Big Boss, you could have it be an alt costume scenario where half of them are Naked Snake, where you saw in MGS3, half of them are the Snake that we have in MGS5.
Yeah, a split between Snake Eater and Ground Zero. That'd be cool.
My odds for him are going to be pretty high. Because I'm basing this based on thought of an Echo, and I think he'd be a super easy one to do. Plus, with Delta being worked on right now, this brings his profile up quite a bit higher. Maybe this will be, maybe we'll get some more Metal Gear love here in the near future. I'm going to go upwards of. I want to go that high.
YOLO, as
75%.
some say, but not me. 75%. That is, that's hardy. But I don't feel too far off from that because for what you had mentioned, it almost feels weird to say. I mean, at the start of the Ultimate Era, I wouldn't necessarily said the same thing with where Konami was.
Yeah, and if Richter didn't exist as an Echo of Simon, I would not be going to the site either. But
that's just the thing. Yeah, Konami shows that they play ball with Echoes. They probably want there to be more franchise representation in their games as they get back into actual video games. I am so stoked for Delta. I'm so happy that David Hayter is back on board and they're just keeping those voice tracks. It's a good first step. Yeah, I didn't necessarily think going into this I'd go as much higher than 50 or so, but I agree, and so I'll meet you at 75.
All right, Kelly, what do you think?
I'm gonna say I just looked up what year Snake Eater takes place, and it's 1964. So I'm just gonna say 64%, just to be funny.
All right.
I wish it were on the N64. Oh, that would be a Control dream.
That brings our average to 71.33%. And I forgot to mention Bandanity, our average was 57.67.
Okay.
Pretty good.
All right. Last one for Rate Their Chances this episode. It's another favorite of Gianna's, Marshall from Rhythm Heaven.
Did I choose these characters?
You did.
Okay.
I mean, look at this selection. You picked Layton, Metal Gear, and Marshall.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's an
Snipper
obvious
Clash
easy choice.
kind of threw you off for a minute there. Oh my god. Marshall, man. What can you say about Marshall that hasn't already been said on this podcast ad nauseum? Um, Rhythm Heaven, baby. There there was a time. There was a time we all thought it was going to happen. The chorus kids, the sneaky spirit, and it's actually, I mean, we're at this point. Rhythm Heaven is not a high profile franchise, but it's high profile enough within the arms of Nintendo's first and second parties. It's like, oh, well, why don't you just do it? You know? And I feel like if we had a different character structure than we did in Ultimate, where very few newcomers came in the base game, the likelihood of a Rhythm Heaven character would have been significantly higher. Just because it's one of those game franchises that's been around for so long and would just be so easy to toss a bone to. It feels like one of those things, like you're at the end of the character of the development docket, like, oh, we have like 3 more spots left. Oh, you may as well do Marshall. You know. That being said, I don't know about the chances now. We haven't got a Rhythm Heaven game in the Switch era.
2016.
Yeah, it's so weird because I mean, it doesn't feel that long ago, but it was. I mean, that's almost 10 years. I believe it was like that gold compilation on 3DS was the last game that came out.
Mega Mix.
Mega Mix, that's right. Gold is WarioWare. Yeah, I mean, who knows at this point? It's just one of those things. If we want to do it, they do it, but there's really no incentive to unless a new game comes out.
Yeah, and I'm looking at some stuff on Rhythm Heaven right now. And the series producer, Sunku, I'm probably not pronouncing that correctly, has they've been very vocal about how they want to make a new one. They've
Mhm.
reached from 2019 through 2022. They've retweeted articles, uh, tweeted out anniversaries, talking about how they want to make a Switch game, and retweeted out fan requests for Switch games. So they clearly want to make one.
Mhm.
Just for whatever reason, it's not happening, and there's no way we can really speculate on why that reason is.
No,
Uh,
it is egregious though in a world where we got a new endless ocean.
and
Oh
and
my!
we got two or three WarioWare games on the Switch, which is I'm like
Which is great.
I'm not unhappy about, but it is a little wild that after such a long gap, WarioWare is coming back right when Rhythm Heaven goes away.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, were these the same people?
And we have, yeah, and it's so unheard of for a dev studio working with Nintendo to be like, yeah, let's do it, just so publicly.
Yeah,
It really kind of feeds into them not having anything planned at all. And again, I mean, Mario RPG Renaissance, SMRPG, TTYD, and a new Mario and Luigi all within the scope of basically a year. Like, oh my gosh, bring on Rhythm Heaven, baby!
yeah,
But in the meantime,
Sure.
he's a mixed bag character. Like, it can happen, but why?
yeah.
You know, I think about it. Yeah, I've rambled enough. What are you guys? Any other thoughts?
Kelly?
I was gonna say we're definitely in that period of just seeing all these IPs coming back. Like another Code comes back. Like you said, the WarioWare games coming in great numbers. Just those
F-Zero.
unexpected sort of left field announcements, and there's still enough of that demand for Rhythm Heaven. Like I think there was recently that I don't know if you guys saw that reanimated. I think it was like Remix 10, where 100 different animators came together. I'm getting
Yeah.
some light on my face. Sorry.
That
It was
reminds
like
me.
100 different.
There was recently a DMCA about against the Rhythm Heaven fan project,
Oh, jeez.
which has led
Oh,
to
I heard about
speculation, but also I've seen
that
people
custom.
say that it was because they were taking assets and music directly out of Rhythm Heaven, which is a big no-no. You don't do that. They were ripping stuff straight out, and that's so it may not be exactly we're DMCAing this because we're making a game like what happened with another Metroid 2 remake, but it's possible.
Mm-hmm. There has been enough
It's
time between 2019 and now to where perhaps.
Yeah.
Um, we'll see. We'll see.
And it
Um,
and it could be that in 2019 or 2020 something they started working on one. But I feel like if that was the case, this guy would probably be told, "Hey, stop responding to the fans.
Mhm.
Stop it."
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, he's not Kamiya, It's held on a tight leash by Nintendo. Most Kami is not held on a leash by anybody now. All that being I'll just go ahead with my number. In the current state of things, 10%.
Yeah. If we have a new rhythm game coming out, I would jump this, but it's been 8 years. There's no current signs of life. I'll say 13.
Yeah. This isn't really an exact comparison, but it feels like that pre-brawl, post-brawl punch-out situation for Little Max chance. So I'll just say 12. I'll just say 12.
All right.
Something. Not nothing.
Yeah. The second a new rhythm heaven game comes out, though, those chances skyrocket to like 80%.
Yes.
And that's the average to 11.67%. Our highest today was Big Boss, and our lowest was Snip and Clip. Not a surprise. Well, I think some people might expect the Bandanity to be higher than Big Boss, but
still a divisive case.
It's considering the fact that Kirby hasn't been getting new characters, and they really should have by now. I think if Ultimate wasn't so restricted on its base game newcomers, I think there's a lot of franchises that we all say should have had something, and they would have. Like, I think we would have had another Kirby. I think we would have had another Zelda. But Ultimate being Ultimate skewed things.
Zelda, God, needs one more than anything at this point.
Yeah.
Toy Zelda, baby. Besides the fact that it's another Zelda, I'm like, okay, but not before a unique character.
Yeah. If it has to be that, it's either Tetra or it's Big Ganon.
I would love either of those. I mean, either of those characters too. I'm just so biased. On a surface level, I would love anything. But on a like interior Smash speculator level, I would deeply prefer to have
a non-Triforce aligned character.
Yeah. But if we could take Ganon, that'd be freaking awesome. So okay.
Yep. Well, now we've gone through all of our rate their chances, it's finally time to get into what this episode is actually named for. Smash or Dash. We all know the rules. We'll have 2 matches of 2 characters each. We'll discuss their qualities, what they can bring to Smash, and then we will all take a vote on which one we would add to Smash and which ones hoped we would dash.
And there won't be a tiebreaker today.
There won't be, thank fuck.
Unless Billy's like, I agree with both of you guys.
I'm so tired of the ties. You know, every once in a while, fine. There's been too many ties this season.
Hey, the tiebreak, the season's almost done. The tiebreakers are done too. Kellyjelly special, and then what's coming up next is the last episode of the season, I think.
Wrong.
Before Ultimate Tournament.
Oh, before Ultimate Tournament, yes. Yeah, the next Smash Dash will be the penultimate one, which is where things just get weird.
Oh, wait, there can be a tie in that episode.
Yes, there can be.
Don't.
But like we do whenever we bring Kelly on, Kelly likes to Kelly's the only person besides the 2 of us that puts new content up on the Smashtopia wiki, including a good selection of characters. So we are once going to be discussing 4 of Kelly's characters in the season. We always like to set aside a slot for this episode each season. And it's funny, sometimes when the season starts, I will pick what those 4 characters are going to be. And then, like, before that episode comes up, Kelly will be like, so I've made a new character. I'm like, oh, yeah? Oh, we're putting that one on this season. Because I can make that a matchup. In fact, that happened for our second matchup, which we'll get to. But first, our first matchup of characters, Kelly, I'm going to make you do the description for this first one. Why don't you tell us about Stocke from Radiant Historia, Perfect Chronology?
Right. Any Stocke battle jokes will be banned on site, just so you know.
But I like Stocke battle.
Yeah, Stocke, he's from Radiant Historia, and it's 3DS remake Perfect Chronology. Yes. And so yeah, Stocke he's a special intelligence agent, funnily enough. He looks just like kind of like a regular knight, but he works as an intelligence agent for the nation Alistal, at war with a nation called Granorg, which is all within this nation called Vanakur, which is slowly becoming a desert. It's losing its mana. It's being sucked out by some unknown force. It's slowly becoming a desert, and it's going to become everybody's going to be dead in well, not before long. So Stocke is interesting because one thing leads to another, and he becomes the owner of the White Chronicle, a book that lets him jump to different points of time and access a place beyond time called Historia, which leads to a lot of interesting timeline shenanigans, seeing friends die, stopping them from dying, and hopefully resolving this world-ending conflict before it's too late.
All right. And Stock's opponent, from one game about time travel shenanigans and jumping around to points in different timelines to another, it's Zero from the Zero Escape series, or specifically the first Zero Escape game. 9 hours, 9 persons, 9 doors. The game that you were a big part in an initiative that got me, that ended up forcing me to play that game. So
I think it
this
just came down to luck, but yeah.
I mean, it came down to voters, and voters picked it over every other game that it went up against, and it was a good game. It was a good series. I played all three of them now.
I
Uh,
unleashed a monster.
yeah, yeah. So this guy, compared to Stock, Zero is not a good guy. Spoilers about identity, which we won't get too deep into, but Zero is responsible for kidnapping 9 people and putting them into what is essentially a series of death games.
The Jigsaw video games.
Yeah, little bit, especially in the third one. Holy shit!
Yeah. That one's the most egregious for sure.
Yeah, but Zero kidnaps these 9 people, puts bomb bracelets on them, and tells them, "Okay, these have bombs in them. Play my game or die. Follow the rules or die." And it essentially is forcing everybody to divide up into different groups and go through escape rooms and solve the rooms, or they die. And it all comes out, and there's this big reason for it at the end of the game. You learn why Zero is doing all these things, uh, which I don't really want to get into because again, spoilers. But it's very mental based. There's a lot of time shenanigans with what the players are doing.
Yeah.
It's a good contrast. It's a good pairing between sort of being this hero character that can influence the flow of time, and then this sort of other mastermind character that everyone has to play to their whims or face threat of death. So
Yeah,
Die.
interesting contrast.
with the whole point, I think for both these games, if I remember correctly, you have to go through most, if not every, point on the timeline to get information from each different point in order to have your prime timeline at the end with the good ending. You have to see a lot of bad endings to canonically get to the good ending, both for the player and the character, which is the most fascinating thing about these to me. It's not just the player seeing timelines; it's the characters.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And again with the Kellyjelly special, I've done this a few times now, but every character in these matchups are ones that are on the SmashW wiki, like Lister had mentioned earlier. So, Kelly, you made both of these guys. I guess from like a moveset perspective, what makes each of them unique and contend against each other? You know, like from that gameplay perspective.
Yeah, so I guess I'll start with you know what, I'll start with Zero first, just because I think they were the first. I think I wrote them first.
Okay.
So Zero is, you know, most of the characters that you see in Smash tend to be the protagonists or their villains. In this case, it's the villain. They've definitely got that wild card factor to them. Um, I was trying to envision them as a stage control, like a zoner, because in the series, like they're this unseen force. They control the game. You are always in their trap. So I wanted to kind of reflect that with some of their moves being like spawning a door that you can't get through and then opening it, or having objects on the stage. It was a bit similar, I guess in hindsight, it's kind of similar to, this might be a bit of a spoiler warning, but are either of you familiar with, there's a fighting game called JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle? Have you heard of that one?
I've heard of JoJo. It's hard to exist in the gaming sphere online without hearing somebody say at some point, "Oh, it's a JoJo reference." I'm just like, okay.
Fair enough.
All
Yeah,
I know is there's stands, and then each volume there's a new JoJo character.
precisely.
They
Yeah.
lean a
Uh,
lot.
what's that?
They lean a lot.
They
Very
stand a
They
lot.
lean a lot. They stand a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I was just gonna briefly say there's one character from the 8th part. Spoiler warning for Jojolion. It's called the Wonder of You, and that's a stand that kind of reflects that sort of Zero-esque uh, appearance where he's very stoic. He kind of like in the series, if you pursue him or even intend to pursue him, random bullshit will just start attacking you. Like leaves will fall off out of the sky and cut your hand off, or cars will just hit you. The universe will be influenced to stop you from reaching him ever, and the more you try to do it, the worse it gets.
Hmm.
So his playstyle is very much like what I envisioned for Zero's in hindsight, where setting traps on the stage, having things like one of Zero's moves, his special move is the push master from 999, which is this little machine that pushes boxes.
Oh,
Literally just having
fuck
roll around the
that! Fuck that escape room! Fuck that puzzle! Fuck that whole one! I hate it.
I had a
F.
feeling you might react that way.
F.
But there you go. Yep, F. There you go. Little things like that that they can control the stage at their whim, and their opponents are privy to that. So
Nice.
and they're very like static because they're like, I don't know, we haven't really seen much. It's a character that you don't really see much outside of one other character wearing their robes at one point, but you don't
Yeah.
really see them like full. It's usually just like I
Like, you
guess we'll see them in
really
the mirror
only
behind.
see Zero in the very beginning when he kidnaps you, flashbacks, and I think he's on like a TV screen once in the beginning. Otherwise, you only hear his voice.
That's correct. But yeah, that was basically how I envisioned Zero to be kind of a zoner stage control character. And then for Stock, I feel it gets tough with every new sword fighter that gets added. It's harder to justify them because there's always that stigma surrounding sword fighters from I guess if you're in the mentality of too many Fire Emblem characters and whatnot. But with Stock, I tried to kind of play into, I guess, also having a bit of that from his own game. You have this spacing mechanic which involves where you are on this 3x3 grid, how that plays into fighting enemies. I tried to give him capabilities for keep away, but also for up close. His big I think justification there is his extra skill, which is the turn swap mechanic. Which in that game it's kind of like the Bravely Default system. If you know, for those who know
Yes.
Bravely, you can almost make that same argument for a Bravely Default character, but here in Stock's case, it translates to letting him cancel moves into other moves at the expense of becoming more vulnerable to damage afterwards. So basically, he becomes Kazuya Mishima, but with a sword. Just auto comboing and canceling his moves. Yeah, he's got some other tricks in there, like he's got some flames, and he's got a healing field. He's got abilities for aerial assaults and pushing people back. But yeah, I tried to stay faithful in both characters' cases to their source material and how that might characterize their style.
Mm-hmm. Their stock. Okay,
Stock.
interesting. I mean, that does swap things out a little bit. I mean, and they both have interesting base specials as well. Like Stock, I mean, he does rely on several stanchions of the JRPG. Like the Will-O-Wisp is like a different version of the standard fireball that's pretty interesting, or flame attack. Then with his sword rush and different ways that he's using his sword. So I mean, yeah, it's a new take on a formula we're a little more familiar with than Zero at the very least. It's very much kind of like a zoner, kind of all over the map and that's pretty appealing in its own way too.
Right. And with both of them, when it comes to like other attacks as well, besides just specials, Doc has his other skills that you can kind of pull things from, like push assault, power wave, double slash, head crush, things of that nature. Zero, you can pretty much pull from like, all right, anything that comes from any of the particular escape rooms, not only in 999, but in Virtue's Last Reward and Zero Time Limit as well, including the dreaded dice. Please don't, but you could include the dreaded dice. There are some puzzles that piss me off.
Just drops dice, if you trip over the dice and you break your neck. Hey yo. Yeah.
Like just it's basically sword fighter with some time shenanigans and some magic, if you boil it down to basic levels, versus guy that throws puzzles at you and isn't Professor Layton.
Evil Layton.
Evil Professor Layton.
Maybe that's where they're going with the next Layton game.
I mean,
That was a crossover.
There you go.
Ooh.
I've never seen the two of them in the same place at the same time. Just saying.
All right, you're right. That being said, yeah, that's a good way to boil it down. I do have my lean if you want me to just go ahead and say it.
Sure, yeah.
Go for it.
Okay. It's zero. It's zero, and I think part of it is, as Kelly has already pointed out, like no matter how interesting the sword fighter is, there is that stigma there that it's like, okay, we've kind, and that is not something that catches on with me very often. Like I think the Fire Emblem issue is so like not that they use swords, it's that they use them in a similar way, and that's their problem. Stocke would be very different from that, which I can appreciate, and I would like to play as him. I probably enjoy playing as him more than Zero, but just purely from the standpoint that Zero's this character, he's an enigma, he's a villain. That already are like points in my mind. I'd like to see more of that in Smash, but also just that you can pull from any number of things. Like he is such an enigma, right down to what, like a wild card in terms of the moveset. Like even the one that Kelly's put out there, it's like, holy shit, there's a lot there.
Visual novel characters are interesting because they are both difficult conceptually to make into a fighter, but at the same time, you have a lot of freedom to just go ham on cameo shit and make them fight in a very unorthodox manner. It's like what is the number one suggestion people say about Phoenix Wright? Objection speech bubble as an attack. In the Phoenix Wright games, do those speech bubbles appear physically and characters see them? No, they're just for the player. But it's what we all talk about for fighting games for Phoenix, and people like in other pieces of evidence to just roll around and use in fights.
Well, Thinker.
You can do the same kind of thing here. Yeah,
Definitely.
Thinker. Zero, one of his things that Kelly wrote it down for him to do is down specials knockout gas, which is how Zero kidnaps people at the beginning of the game. He throws down a can of knockout gas, knocks characters out. He takes them along into his little unmarked white van and brings them to his secret place. So his down special is Zero drops canister directly below them, sprays out knockout gas, and if fighters go in the smoke, they fall asleep.
Good for mix-ups for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Jigglypuff mains are going to have some competition
Oh
when it
yeah,
comes to putting to sleep.
Right.
with a much better move because Jigglypuff is extremely melee.
And I've always thought I didn't really think about this until you were mentioning it, but wouldn't it be cool if one of his this isn't written in my moveset, but since Zero is wearing a gas mask, what if Zero is immune to, if there's a Zero Ditto, what if this down B does not work on other Zeros that can't fall asleep because they're all wearing gas masks? So maybe they're immune to knockout gas themselves. Like if you're a Zero, and imagine if you were playing as Zero against another Zero, and you both just couldn't affect each other with down B because the gas mask protects them from the knockout gas. Am I thinking too much into it, or?
I see what you're going with, and if there was like a Zero meets Zero crossover story, I would agree with that. In terms of like a fighting game like Smash, though, I think that kind of fucks with balance a bit.
Yeah, it's all got to be on the same level for power scaling.
Yeah,
Just a funny thought.
but if there was to be a vignette about Zero meeting Zero or something,
Could still happen. Maybe one day. Could still happen.
Nice.
But yeah, two interesting time travel-y characters, both with some keep away and zoning options.
Hmm.
Sorry, did you want to say your leans now,
Oh yeah,
or is it?
I already have. So you feel free to.
Right,
I think perhaps maybe Kelly, yeah, you can go and then Lister.
right.
Mm.
I think I am also leaning zero. I really wanted to try to justify Stocke because, like, in his own game, he's very much like he's not quite like what you'd think of like when it comes to a person with a sword. Like, he's not very like finesse based like Marth, or I guess he's almost a bit more like Ike in that he's a bit more brute force based, but he still has that intelligence to back it up and that bag of tricks that he's got. But I think with Smash, it comes down to, I think Sakurai's even said he likes when he can diversify as much as like every character can be unique, what they bring to the table. And Zero definitely has that with that sort of unpredictability in their what they can pull from the series.
Hmm.
I think I'm also going to lean Zero in that case. Yeah.
All right. Well,
Okay.
I guess that means my vote doesn't matter, but I'll say it anyways. It's zero. It's like nothing in stock, but
Usag.
I really enjoyed the Zero Escape games. I thought they were a lot of fun. The concepts behind them all is fucking wild as hell. If you haven't watched them, or play it yourself. Play it
Yeah.
yourself instead of watching somebody else. Now, if you want to watch somebody's reactions after the fact, do that, but don't spoil it for yourself. Trust
Please.
They
me.
can watch your own reactions after
Trust
the fact,
me.
can't they?
Yeah,
On Select Star Gaming.
exactly. But I like the idea of Zero as a fighter. This character that's visual novel, having to do all these different kinds of things. Like their neutral special is them summoning a numbered door as a barrier, and you can make it open up and smack into people. Otherwise, it's just a barrier that they have to go over it. I like that. I think that's really fun.
Definitely.
Good luck. I'm behind 9 doors.
Haha. Well, 8.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that's a clean sweep for Zero. So we'll see him and the Tournament of Champions here in 12 weeks.
Well, when you put it that way,
Actually, wait. Yeah, 12 weeks. Because it's a
yes.
6-week cycle.
Hmm.
But we
Very
got
good.
another matchup to go for first. Now, this one, originally I had 2 different characters written down here. And then, Kelly, you created another character, and I saw an opportunity to put 2 characters against each other that just match so well. So why don't you start off by telling us about? Actually, no. I guess no. I'm first here. I'm first here with this character. First of all, we have Freddi Fish from the
Yeah.
old humongous entertainment games, where you play as a fish who is basically a detective with his little pal Luther as his. Do we want to say
Uh,
ineffective? Partially effective Watson, kind of. He
put
tries
some
his
respect.
best. He does his best. But yeah, Freddi
Nice.
Fish. These are what they're elementary school students, I think, right? These are
Yeah.
elementary school student fish, and there's like 6 different Freddi Fish games, each with their own mystery that you're trying to solve. The one I remember best is one where the hogfish go missing. You get to find out who stole the hogfish, and I think it's a different person each time you play it, so there's different clues. And that's something that's great about the humongous entertainment games. That each time you play, there's these little scenarios that are different, so you can have a bit of a different experience every time. And I like that. I think that's great for these kinds of games. But
Yeah.
Freddy, it's him and Luther. They're both fighting together, which I think makes a lot
Point
of
out Freddy's a
sense.
girl.
Do what?
Point out Freddy is a girl though.
Oh, did I say boy?
I think so. Yeah.
Ah, my mistake. Yeah, Freddy is a girl. Luther is the boy. Um, and you've got different things here with their moves where they can use like their currency as as a throwable item, which I think is really fun. Swimming around. There's the classic worm doodles, and they're also kind of kind of a character swap, similar to like what Zelda Sheik or Pyramithra are, except they're always out at the same time. You're basically just swapping like who's doing the moves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's like a weird hybrid of stance change and puppet controller in a
Yeah.
way.
Nice.
Did you
So
guys both play? Sorry, which you said you played? How many games have you both played for Freddi Fish? Would you say?
Oh, I played none, unfortunately.
let me
Oh no,
check. I think
it's
I think I played all but the last one. I don't remember a case of the creature of Koroko, but I know I played 1 through 4.
right on. I played 1 through 3. That's all. It's times like these I wish that you could gift games on Switch like you could on Wii. I don't know why you can't, but
They're
if I
on
could,
Steam.
John. Oh, they are on Steam.
Yeah, pretty
That's
much all of Humus of Steam is on Steam. They were in a big sale package together like several years ago, and I just bought them all.
Oh, wait, am I dumb? Did they come to Switch, or am I being stupid?
Oh, they're on Switch.
I think they're on Switch. I know they were on Wii. Like they were physical Wii releases of Humongous Entertainment games.
Mm-hmm.
That
Among
blew
Us
my mind.
Entertainment.
One of these days, I'll play it. One of these days.
One of these days.
But we
I
have
still gotta
here,
get to all the yeah, but that's another story.
we have here a pair of fish who live deep underwater, and their opponent, who is the reason this matchup exists, because it was just too perfect to deny. From Nanosaur to Hatchling, we have a dinosaur with a jetpack? Wait, Kelly, tell me about this thing. What is this Hatchling?
Oh boy. Okay, so one of the 4 Nanosaur fans on Earth here, or rather Nanosaur 2. Never played Nanosaur 1. But the premise is that in Nanosaur 2, you were playing as a pteranodon which hatched from an egg, one of several eggs that was rescued by another Nanosaur in the original game. And I think it's implied that this one is unique because it's a pteranodon that has wings and there aren't any others like that or something like that. Essentially, a rebel offshoot of Nanosaurs break in and steal all of the other eggs. So it's up to this one that can fly to get them back. Oh, and also it has a jetpack that shoots lasers, bombs, grenades, heat-seeking missiles.
Good
So
lord.
as a premise, technologically advanced dinosaurs. I guess somewhere along the line, humanity died out and dinosaurs come back. What more could you ask for?
That sounds
Wicked
like
concept. Yes.
That's pretty great.
But it's like I think this was I guess with Freddi Fish that was like one of the games I played on our family had a Windows 98
Hmm.
and with our first Macintosh. So that's the connection, just very niche games that were on our home family computers.
Nice. Very nice.
All right.
Okay, where do we begin?
So it's a battle of fish versus a dinosaur. Water versus sky. You
There you go.
see why when you gave me Hatchling, I had to make this pairing. This was a requirement.
yeah.
I can't remember who was going to be here initially. But I was like, no, this needs to happen because I try to match them as best I can with ones that you've made without repeating. But sometimes it's a loose connection. It's like, I guess these two. But then I was like, oh, this is perfect. These are it.
Mhm.
Free solving fish versus technologically inclined dinosaurs.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
So let's see here. So with the moveset you have for these two sets of characters, looking at Freddy first, just trying to see if I can get the details here. Okay, yeah. Under unique traits, we have written down that Freddy and Luther function as a pair similar to Rosalina and Luma, with the former as the primary fighter. So Freddy in this case, and Luther as the secondary. With Luther having a limited amount of stamina. The difference is that by using the down special, you can swap who was in the lead. You can have Luther be in the front, whereas Freddy would be in the back, and then being the one with limited stamina.
Mhm.
Actually, it was more like Freddy it was sort of a risk reward system where when you take control of Luther, Freddy kind of just stays put, and she's still she is still susceptible to attack. But Luther is always the one with stamina, and then he can be like Luma, where he temporarily disappears. So you have to kind of gauge when Luther's in control. You're not really taking damage percentage wise, but you have to watch out that make sure Freddy's not getting attacked while she's stationary.
Gotcha. Okay, okay. So you can basically temporarily just directly control your puppet for a short time. Okay. And then
It's a bit of a weird concept. It's something different, yeah.
right. But then depending on who is the lead will change what their attacks are. So whereas Freddi Fish's standard specials are Purple Sea Urchin, Mock Stop, Nipple Bop, Whopper Bopper, and Explore the Sea, Luther's are Worm Doodle, Souped Up Slingshot, and Codfish Commando.
That's right. Yeah, I wanted to give, I guess Freddy is more of like the bruiser character who's more up close, better with, confrontation, and then Luther being the smaller one, he's better with zoning. He's got the slingshot for zoning. He's got the more disjointed recovery, just to kind of give him a reason to swap between them.
Right. And a reason to make me say Mock Stop, Nibble Bop, Whopper Bopper.
Mock stop. We'll say that 10 times fast.
I don't want to. I said it twice. That's good enough.
Whopper Bopper, Mox Apple, Whopper, oh my god.
You didn't even mention the third one.
Gobstopper, Mobble Gobble Liver Bobber.
God. And that's the highlight for Instagram. Right there. Whatever the word is called. I don't know. I don't use those sites.
It's gonna become that one move that just becomes the most annoying spam like special in the game, and then Freddy just gets banned.
I like to imagine that not every time, but sometimes when you use the special, Freddy or Luther will actually say what it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here you go, Freddy. It's the box stop middle bobber soccer.
Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
Yeah. There you
Hungry hippos.
Oh, God.
go.
No.
Oh man, that's an earworm.
Childhood flashbacks to the commercial. Put that song in Smash.
No.
Oh, it's a rights lawsuit. It's a lawsuit nightmare.
But I do know what stage it would go on.
There you go.
Monopoly.
There you go.
Ooh.
What if that happened and we had the next season we'll be talking about Hungry Hippos and Smash or Dash.
What we would make a Mr. Monopoly or whatever he's called, Mr. Pennyback or something, or whatever his real name is. Make him a character fighter. The Monopoly board is his stage, and as you're going through, like there's a dice being rolled, and so the stage will move around to different parts, and each space has something different happen.
Yeah,
that'd be interesting.
Yeah, nightmare to write.
So yeah, I had a fun time coming up with Freddy and Luther because they're everybody likes the Humongous games. They've been a big part of a lot of people's childhood gaming memories and exposure to gamers perhaps as a whole, or gaming rather. And then the Hatchling is it's kind of a hero situation. They don't really have any distinct personality, which is a sharp contrast to Freddy and Luther. But it's more about what they represent. It's kind of like the antithesis of Little Mac, if you will, because where Mac was, as we all know, a great grounded fighter but struggled in the air, the Hatchling is the air king. Like we're talking Jigglypuff on steroids in terms of its air control game. Maybe a little bit flounderish on the ground with its really low running speed, but it has abilities that you can glide and still maintain that momentum while using special attacks, such as dropping bombs or firing missiles. It has zoning tools like its Sonic Scream, where you can charge up a sound wave projectile. That was kind of like if you ran out of projectiles in the game, you would always have the Scream, which was just holding spacebar to charge up basically a sound bullet. So if you ran out of any ammo, you still had that to fall back on. In a sense, is zoning with its scatter grenades or fragment grenades rather. It has it all. It's got a lot of cool tools in its arsenal.
It definitely does.
Mm-hmm. Like it can rip a hair through space time for its final smash.
Yeah, just like I'm just gonna make a wormhole today. No big.
Yep.
And I like all of the like unique traits and aesthetic differences that you included on the Hatchling moveset as well. Really,
Yeah,
really
it's
does
kind of
bring your character to life.
I mean, it makes sense that Pteranodon would have some midair jumps that they could use. It can
Mhm.
also have gliding.
Yeah.
so the closest thing we have, I think, right now is Charizard, maybe.
To a dinosaur, or what do you mean?
I guess just in terms of that, yeah, like that winged sort of multi-jump air kind of character.
Ridley?
I'm sure, I think else that's the closest thing to a Pteranodon in Smash, but there you go.
Charizard and Ridley.
Oh yeah, what about yeah, easily Ridley probably. Ridley with a
Easily.
jetpack, imagine that.
I
There you go.
mean,
That's
we
how
do
Better
have
Ridley.
we have Meta Ridley, we have Mecha Ridley. I I mean, I think those count.
To an extent, but not souped up on their back like that. Ridley can't
No,
open a wormhole.
oh
yet.
yeah.
Not yet. Yeah.
Just wait. We have so many different versions of Ridley.
Mm-hmm. Wait until he comes back to life. Yeah, just like Bowser ripped a hole between dimensions in New Yoshi's Island. And you had to fight him as his older self at the end.
We've gone from space. Sorry, we've gone from time shenanigans, time manipulation with Zero and Stock, and now we were into space manipulation with Hatchling.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Can Freddi and Luther tear a hole through space time? I
Well,
think so.
they can
Probably.
set up a Rube Goldberg trap machine.
That's fun.
That's
Oh yeah.
Imagine
kind
him
of
versus Zero fighting each other mano a mano like that.
their whole final smash is a sequence taken straight out of Freddi Fish 2, where they set up an entire trap sequence, mousetrap style, and they catch some ghosts.
I,
The
I
opponent just stands there like an idiot, watching it happen.
Yeah,
Like
they do.
I do think that's pretty incredible.
it's a great style of just being able to fight without fighting. It calls to mind, characters like Wii Fit that are they're just doing their exercise, or Steve, they're just crafting their
Yeah.
stuff, doing their exercises.
Yep.
The fight is secondary to them.
Also, I just want to
Right.
point out Luther Standard Special Worm Doodle has Luther drop a chocolate covered worm doodle on the ground. Opponents try to eat it will hate the taste and take damage, but Freddy can heal it when they eat it for 20% damage. And as somebody who is not a fish, but has eaten chocolate covered worm doodles, I just got to say, the people who hate it are wrong. It's delicious.
We got a real expert on our hands here.
Oh my
You gotta
god.
have them.
Oh my gosh.
Jonathan, did you just realize what this was?
Yeah, I didn't realize that that's what that was when you made the commercial. I just thought it was something.
No, it was Freddy. For those who don't know, earlier this year, Kelly put together a Smashtopia Direct, which got great views on YouTube. It's supposed to be like a spoof of the Nintendo Direct, so it seems around, like Super Cash Brothers and Smashtopia. And one of the segments was me doing both a voiceover and recording clips for a Worm Doodles commercial. Worm Doodles basically being gummy worms from the Freddi Fish
That's
games.
awesome.
And I got a little manic in some of it. At one point, I put chocolate sauce on some gummy worms and I ate it, which is a lot better than one of the ideas I had, because one of the Worm Doodle flavors is red, and one cursed idea I had was to put ketchup on one of them. And I'm really glad I didn't do that. I'm
Yeah.
just really
I
glad I
really
didn't
see
do that. I wasn't going to eat that. I was gonna like look at it, and then I was gonna kind of look at Disgust face, like, I don't know about this one. But
That'd be funny.
yeah,
I won't do that. That's the one I won't touch.
nope.
Yeah.
But there you go. Now you know, John.
Wonderful. And this is a great callback.
I think
Watch
steak,
the
but I can.
Smashtopia Direct. See it for yourself. You can also see my Rhythm Heaven segment.
Yeah, there's a
There's a
yeah. Jono has a Rhythm Heaven segment. Kelly does a classic Sakurai where he teases 4 Smash characters that are going to be added to Smash Topia Wiki. 3 of them his own creations, 1 of them mine. And we got to do little teases for them, which was fun.
Definitely.
Thanks for making it such a great success, you guys.
Thank you for making it such a great success.
The viewers want more. The viewers wanted more.
Well,
One day. That's
iMovie is hard to work with. Anyway, that's all I'll say about that.
All right. Well, do we have anything else we want to talk about with Freddi and Hatchling here?
I would love to talk with them, learn more about their lives independently. What do they do when they're not working in a video game?
Personality,
doodles.
background.
Doing up that warm doodle style, just like Zantok here.
They just consume like a manic person.
Yeah, it's like suckling the doodle.
I think Freddi and Luther are cool just because of they feel like it's not like a story where these two characters that are just kind of learning to work together or maybe butting heads at times. They just feel like genuinely good friends.
Oh yeah.
And they cover each other's. They pick up on stuff that the other might miss. So it really felt like just having Freddi would have been doing Luther a disservice because it really is. It's it's Freddi Fish is the series name, but it's just their dynamic and how they both operate as a unit that really sells it.
Yeah. Like at minimum, if Freddi Fish were to get into Smash, Luther would at minimum appear in the final Smash and then at least a taunted victory pose. Kind of like Morgana for Joker.
Exactly.
Possibly
Yeah.
even in a Luma shot-esque like attack, I could see. I don't know.
Looking cool, Fred.
God.
Just spam downtown.
Oh god.
Something I like about this matchup as well is I honestly don't know which character to go for. Because both of these, neither of these will happen. But both of these would be funny. Like Freddi, we have a pair of fish doing all these wild things from their game, which is another kind of like with Zero. We have a game where it's like this was not an easy way to translate a character to a fighting game. It's a point and click educational game for 4-year-olds. So how do you do this? You do a bunch of wild cameo stuff with items or events to happen. You turn these into moves. And so you have these 2 fish that fly around. You've also got the puppeting mechanic with Luther. Meanwhile, you have a jetpack wearing Pteranodon, and that's really hard to say no to. That's just hard to say no to, period. Even if you don't even consider the missiles and the bombs and the wormhole that he can make.
Yeah.
It's like on a more on a serious level, Freddi, but jetpack dinosaur.
It's both. It's like the spectrum. Which side do you go for? There was one quick point I want to bring up actually about Hatchling, because for what I've got for his down special actually changes depending on whether you're in the air or on the ground. And I was wondering, how many characters in Smash have that functionality where a move will change depending on if they're on the ground or in the air? Because I know Terry has one. His neutral B kind of does a little flash when he's in the air, but it travels on the ground. That's not dumb. But I just wonder if there was any other characters that kind of did that too.
There are some, not like a complete move change, I don't think, but some that like it'll change a property. Mithra is actually one of these. I can't remember which attack of hers it is. I think it's her side special actually. It will change. Actually, no, yeah, hers completely is it's a different move technically. Actually, I think that might be if you charge it or not on her side, but I don't think it's based on aerial or ground. But I know there are a few where a move will change to a degree, whether it's just better on the ground or it's better in the air, typically speaking. Offhand, I don't recall who.
Yeah, you'd have to take great pains to make sure that a character that's pretty much all about projectiles isn't becoming like an impossibly well, I guess the Belmonts is an example. Like you want to be able to kind of give them some drawbacks to make sure they're not just spamming
Yeah.
throwing out bullets and lasers that you just can't approach them.
Right. I think you've done a good job making that happen with Hatchling.
Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with Lister. This is a more difficult matchup for me than the first. Hmm. I don't know. Since I voted first last time, maybe one of you guys want to take the lead on this one.
Lister, what are your thoughts?
I don't know. I don't know. Like I feel like if I really think about this from an objective standpoint, and I take the meme away, it's Freddi Fish. If I take the meme away, it's Freddi Fish. We have an interesting fighter. First of all, we have a character that I know from my childhood, so that's points right there for that easily. The funness with some of the referential moves. The gunblade fell over.
Uh-oh.
And then also just like the puppet fighting with Luther. I think that's really fun. And I like the idea of their final smash being our trap is complete. Hatchling, I don't have a connection to this. My enjoyment of it is pure memory of dinosaur with a jetpack that can shoot missiles and bombs.
Oh yeah, brother.
That's fun to me. If Hatchling won this matchup, I would not be upset like I was earlier with Squall and the Adventure. I'm only minorly upset, let's be honest. I had to have a reaction. Come on, we come on. It's for the
I hear you.
fans.
Yep.
But if I look at it objectively, it's Freddi. But I wouldn't mind Hatchling.
It is free, by the way. Like, free like last year on Pangea, I think, the developers of Nanosword 2. So
Oh.
definitely, if you like the idea of sort of like all range Star Fox, but more exploring these kind of smallish areas and shooting a bunch of
I do like
velociraptors.
that thought.
I like the
I
idea of
do
Star
recommended
Fox,
it.
but I don't like the idea of Lilat Wars.
Oh no, it's definitely not like Star Fox. It's more all range. I meant the all range aspect of it. Like it's different, but yeah. But yeah, I see what you mean.
They've done it 9 times in a row.
Say again, sorry, Jonno.
Oh, we're just riffing on the fact that they've redone the Lilat Wars storyline for half of the games in the franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kelly, what are you thinking?
Oh,
Yeah.
my two childhood. Oh, because I was going into this kind of with the same mindset as you, Zantok, with Freddi Fish, just being the duo, the dynamic duo. They fall into kind of the appeal that Zero had, where it's just random bullshit go. But also having that the partner mechanic, the puppetry, or sort of just the stance change. It's a weird mishmash of ideas.
Yeah.
Kind of like their series, where it's random. Like you're finding different things and places and people. It encapsulates the series. And I was going in thinking that was my lean, but thinking about Hatchling and just how this is going back to JoJo stuff, but there's another. It's kind of like a character in that fighting game series called Pet Shop, which is a bird or hawk that's known for being busted and is banned at tournament level because it can just go anywhere in the air and just spam icicles. Just the thought of Smash having a character like that, more balanced, of course, but just being that kind of anti Little Mac idea and seeing what would come of that. That's kind of where I'm almost leaning now. I think with towards Hatchling in a way. As much as I love Freddi and Luther, part of me just wants to see it.
Oh, I know.
It could go either way, but I think for right now, I'm going to lean Hatchling.
Okay.
Yeah,
this again, same boat. After I'm glad I heard from Kelly first because I was going to go hard into Freddi and Luther territory initially, just because I don't know. There's something so whimsical about having those characters playable in the game, and as you said, it's the same idea as Zero, but also the antecedent to it because they're an early childhood game versus a very gritty, mature title. So you're getting two sides of that coin, and that's appealing. I mean, it's and I love the idea of them being, swap stance changey. I like the element of puppetry that you have with having Luther be playable here and there,
Mm.
and that they bring in double the fun of what Zero can bring to the table, because they have two. In some cases, there are individual moves for each of the characters. Um, so there's a lot there, and it works, and the final smash is really entertaining. Um, on a base level, they are just naturally more appealing than Hatchling because they have a personality and so much of it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
the Hatchling, it's just a dinosaur. It doesn't really say or do anything besides, what the gameplay permits it to do, and that's
You project yourself onto it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So as a character, it's kind of harkens back to like the anti-me or anti-avatar argument for Smash, where it's like, it's just kind of faceless, but at the same time, this faceless character, yeah, it being a pteranodon is funny and fun and really unique. Um, and the gameplay style would, and this is ironically, it's why I voted against Stock, but for the same reason here, Hatchling has a more concentrated idea of what you can do with the moveset. But because the moveset is so different and it's kind of honed in on and more realizable immediately in your mind, that makes it very appealing just for opposite reasons from Freddy.
Well
Uh,
said. Yeah. You guys picked a good matchup in terms of, I think we're really having a more like we're thinking about this a lot harder than, not to say Stock versus Zero was bad, but it's definitely one specific archetype versus another. So
well, the thing is,
yeah,
I really want to vote for Freddy and Luther. Like my heart is with that, but the hatchling is so appealing for gameplay reasons for me. Like I would like to play as that, see that happen, and experience what it would be like to use that play style that is unique to Smash.
yeah.
Hmm.
I just had a thought. It's kind of like if you had, like Hatchling over here and Freddi Fish over here. Or sorry, no, what am I thinking of? I was gonna try to make a
Like
connection to like
versus
Duck
dinner.
Hunt somehow, but I kind of lost my train of thought. Sorry.
Yeah,
Just in
so
terms of function versus character and what's in the middle there.
hmm. And I'm very much for like just random characters like that. But and also maybe because we had already voted for Zero, that kind of creates this innate will where you're like, we want to vote for the thing that's something different from what we already voted for.
Sure,
So
yeah.
it's very much juggling. More 50-50 than I've been in a matchup in a while right now. But we do have to ultimately come to a vote, and there's not a tiebreaker because there's three of us.
You are the
So,
tiebreaker.
am I?
Yeah, I voted Freddy and Kelly went with Hatchling.
Is that what we're saying for sure? Like, I know Zantok is a yes. I know Kelly had said it was a lean.
I'll lock in just to say I've got one.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
All you, man.
In that case, it's all coming back to me. Okay. Normally, I'd be very amused and laughing at this circumstance, but I'm also deeply disturbed. Uh, let's see here. I'm quickly looking over each of their Smash via submission pages from Kelly again, just quickly here, and I'm just going to base it off the moveset that I like more and would want to play as more.
Fair enough.
And I want to make sure of this. I'm doing a quick glance. Mock stop, Middlebach, Whopper, Bopper. Jesus. I jab the opponent. That's fun. For the C and S Kirk up special. Swap to Luther. The Worm Doodle. I mean, you can vote for that just because it has Xantok's Worm Doodles in it.
You
Gotta have
gotta
'em.
have them.
Codfish Commando. Ah, my favorite action figure is the unauthorized one that I forgot the name of from that one Nintendo Direct.
Pajama Man.
the non-specific action figure.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. Good one.
I love the swap mechanics here.
Jonno
That works.
canonically does like swap mechanics.
Like swap notes.
Yeah,
Oh
good times. The
Icky.
Sonic
my
Spring.
God.
This move requires you to charge for at least 1 second. That's Sonic Scream, Fragment Grenade, and then just realizing that all of these moves can be initiated from the air, like constantly in the air.
There was one move that I left out from his from Hatchling's moveset, which was just basically a rapid fire, like these little red kind of lasers that just go. That I just couldn't figure out how to apply them. So that's like the one weapon that got left out on
Okay.
the cutting room floor.
Sorry, the opponent. This would be like somebody who understands the meta of this character can be such a nightmare. Like this would be like a Banhammer character time, Bayonetta meta.
Why get close?
Yeah. Okay. There's so many thoughts in my mind. Like I can give Zantok a pat on the back after Squall lost and vote for Freddi.
Don't think of it that way.
I can vote for Freddi because and Luther because I like the stance change mechanic and because it's funny and because it harkens back to such a precious moment of so many people's lives. Hatchling, it's so niche and innovative and unique. The moveset style is unlike any other. Okay,
Yeah, it's a tough one.
I've got it. I've got it because there's I need to have one. That's why. And it is Hatchling. Going with Kelly on this one.
All right.
It's tough.
Yeah.
With that, we have our two winners for today's episode. Zero and the Hatchling.
Yeah. Who knew? Who knew? That was intense.
Freddi and Luther gave it a good run for its money, though.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, before we started doing this, I thought I was going to vote for Hatchling, so this is fine.
The big appeal about Freddi is that it's a humongous games character. Like that like Spy Fox Freddi. We've got some good representation there in this season for
Yeah.
Yeah, we just need to talk about Putt Putt and Pajama Sam next, and we'll have got the core four.
And then you'll see that one of them, Putt Putt, will be the victor of the next Ultimate Tournament after this one.
It's not a vehicle-based character yet. Never know.
No, you never know.
We have talked about a vehicle-based character, though, with F-Type.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, it's like the Hornet from Daytona, USA being in, what was it, Fighting Vipers or whatever? Like just using its wheels to pump.
Yeah.
That same sort of idea, yeah. But yeah, I'm glad we reached a resolution because I mean, Freddi and Luther would be really cool because they also kind of have some zoning, like like those items in Brawl, like what was it called, the Ulnira? It was like that blue.
Oh, the Unira.
spike-
Yeah, from Clue Land.
Mm-hmm.
Freddi basically has 5 of those ready to go. Just pop them down on the stage and just watch your opponent try to navigate that. So
Yeah.
definitely lots of great points for both, but it's really cool to see why we go between each one.
Yep.
That discussion was that was a serious one for sure. But hey, we did it. We did it. Good job, gentlemen.
Crazy Mastermind and Jetpack Joyride Pteranodon.
And they're both going to be joining the interesting cast of characters we have for this year's Tournament of Champions. It is a collection. Oh boy. We got this is going to be an odd Tournament of Champions this season. There's not very many serious choices. Which on the one hand could mean we have an obvious winner, but it could also mean chaos is going to happen.
Ooh. I welcome it.
I
Oh,
will.
boy.
Yes, I will roll my die for chaos. I will assume that roll.
Well, unfortunately, I'm here to kill chaos.
He's not here, is he? Is he in the room with us right now?
In a Petersonian sense, he is. Oh my.
In some way, he's always here with us. Chaos lives in us all.
Just like Santa.
Well, Santa is specifically one person, but yeah.
I feel Santa every so often inside of my soul.
It's a real weird way that can be taken.
Until I said soul, that was true. I was thinking about that as it came out of my mouth.
I'm going to move on as we close out the episode. It's been another Kellyjelly special. I'm absolutely sure we'll have more, unless for some reason Kelly decides he doesn't want to be on the show anymore. Which, that's kind of Kelly's business, not mine. There's still how many is that? 3, 4, 5, 6. There's still 9 characters that Kelly has made movesets for that we haven't been able to feature in a Kellyjelly Smasher Dash yet. So we got a lot of material to work with.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure that number will be increasing as time goes on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, at one point we ran out. We ran out at one point.
But there's been a renaissance of sorts, kind of like the Mario RPG renaissance on Switch.
All I'll say is that when creativity strikes, I'll keep them coming.
Of course.
There you go.
Look forward to it. Thank you again for featuring my work. It means a lot to me, and I'm glad I get to be part of this.
Oh God, I forgot. You did make another new character recently. I forgot. There's actually 10. I forgot about the cat.
Impossible. How could you forget?
God, who would I pair them against?
We'll see. We'll see next season. The next Kellyjelly special's on the way. I'll pair them against Chucky Finster myself.
I don't know. But what I do know is this. Next time on Super Cash Brothers, we're continuing with our roster redux project. We are moving on to the Wii U. So there's not many episodes left of that project. Just 3 more, including the upcoming episode. And I can tell you this is a little teaser. 2 of the characters that we discussed today will be brought up in that episode.
Mm-hmm. And we have a guest who's new to the show.
We do.
That'll be fun.
Actually, is it 2 characters or is there a third one? I need to double check. There might be a third character that gets brought up in that episode.
Hatchling.
2 or 3. No, it is 3. Three characters that we discussed today will be brought up in that episode. And then in the episode following, we get back to our normal scheduling with an on topic, and this time we'll be discussing the Super Mario franchise, just in general, our memories, our experiences, and maybe what we might like to see in the future.
Yeah. Looking forward to all of it.
Yep.
Thank you, Kelly. We always appreciate it. This was a fun discussion today.
Thank you both for featuring me. Always glad to be part of it.
Well, in that case, we'll see you all next time. Bye, everyone.